திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். புழியர்கோன் வெப்பொழித்த புகழியர்கோன் கடல் போற்றி. ஆழிமிசைக் கல்முதப்பில் அணைந்த பிரான் அடி போற்றி. வாழித்திரு நாவலூர் வன்றொண்டர் பதம் போற்றி. ஊழிமலி திருவாத ஊரர் திருத்தாள் போற்றி. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். So we have been discussing Sambandha's first Padigam, Thoduடைய Seviyan, and in the last 3 sessions we have covered the background of the event and the first 8 songs of this Padigam. As a recap, so this background is that Sambandha was crying at the bank of the temple tank when his father was inside the water bathing, and Shiva and Parvati came and gave him the milk, and then his father comes out, finds the milk on Sambandha's face. He was 3 years old at the time, and gets upset because unknown person has fed the child milk. We don't know what happens. So he was very worried, only child, male child. So he asks Sambandha who gave him the milk, and he is in ecstasy and he doesn't say anything. He keeps looking at Shiva and Parvati, who are visible to him, but his father can't see. So father keeps asking, but the child is looking somewhere and with a dazed or ecstatic look in his face. So father gets a bit upset and picks up a twig in his hand and lifts his arms as if he's going to strike, and then asks the child, who gave you the milk? So Sambandha starts singing this Padigam, and in each of these songs, he says that, describes Shiva and says, it is that Shiva who came and gave me the milk. It is him. And also the fact that in addition to saying that Shiva came and gave me the milk, he also sings these songs putting himself in the form of imagining himself to be a girl who is deeply in love with Shiva. So that is the approach that he has used in describing Shiva and composing these songs. So in every song, he uses the phrase, En ullam kavar kalvan, means the thief who stole my heart, which is a very poetic way of saying that I'm in deep love with Shiva. And in every song, he will say at the end that the Shiva of Brahmapuram, it is him indeed who came and gave me the milk. He never says in any of the songs that he is the one who gave the milk, right? Because the father asked him the question, who gave you the milk? And in our interaction, right, when somebody's asking you who gave you this, and we'll simply say, so-and-so gave me this, so-and-so gave, right? We don't say what he gave, right? Who gave you the ball? Rama gave me the ball. Rama gave it. That kind of thing. So in the songs, he never says that Shiva gave him milk. He only says it is that Shiva. And that's how the whole Padigam goes. And in every song, he will describe various attributes of Shiva. And also he will describe the legends associated with the local Sthalam. The Brahmapuram, which is Sirgari, which is about 20 kilometers south of Chidambaram. And there are legends associated with this place, Sthala-Puranam. So in many of the songs, he will include 1 or 2 statements about the Sthala-Puranam as well. So for example, in the very first song, which is the Thoduடைய Seviyan, he starts saying that it is Shiva who is Ardhanarishwara who came and gave me the milk. And then he also says that this is the place where Brahma worshipped Shiva, which is one of the reasons why that place is called Brahmapuram. And similarly, if you go on to the second song, third song, he will describe various attributes of Shiva and how he is worshipped by all. And then in third song, he says something about his bangles loosening up. And that is because that's a poetic way of saying that he is deeply in love, that a girl is deeply in love. So she is becoming leaner and thinner. And because of that, the bangles start slipping off her hands because she has become thinner than normal. So that is one way of poetically describing. And Then in the I'm trying to see which song he refers to the other stories of this Salam. In the fifth song, it talks about the fact that this Brahmapuram floated as above the sea water when the whole world was submerged in the sea. It's a Pralaya Kalam. So that is again another Salapuranam associated with this place. So this town has 12 names reflecting different episodes that are narrated in the Salapuranam. So one of the names of this place is called Thonipuram. Thoni in Tamil is there in all South Indian languages, I think. Maybe called Dhoni. It means a boat. So the legend is that this place was floating on the sea water like a boat. So that's why it is called Thonipuram. That's one of the 12 names of this place. So that story he refers in the fifth song. கருமை பெற்ற கடல் கொள்ள மிதந்ததோர் காலம் இதுவென்ன பெருமை பெற்ற பிரமாபுரம். That phrase refers to this story, Salapuranam reference. And similarly, if you go into the seventh song, he describes a lot of natural beauty of this place. So, for example, this is on the coastal, near the coast. So there are coastal groves around it, and there are birds enjoying the coastal groves. So that is what he is saying in the seventh song. For example, where he says, கடல் முயங்கு கழிசூழ் குளிர் கானலம் பொன்னன் சிறகு அன்னம் பெடை முயங்கு பிரமாபுரம். So that is a very, he is giving a picture in the words, saying that this place is near the seashore, and there are backwaters, and there are groves near the backwaters, and there are nice swans enjoying the life with their mates. So he's describing that. And in the eighth song, which was the last song that we saw till the last class, he describes Ravana being crushed by Shiva when Ravana was trying to lift Kailasa mountain. We narrated the story in detail last time. Basically, Ravana had a flying chariot that he had captured from one of the devas, and he was flying around all over the place. And when he was flying above the Kailasa area, because it was a holy place, because of that, the chariot could not fly and it lands on the ground. So Ravana gets upset, and then he learns that because this Kailasa mountain, he cannot fly over that. So he says, what is this big Kailasa mountain? I am so great. I have so much power. I will pick up this mountain and throw it like a piece of small pebble. So he puts all his arms under the mountain and picks it up. So the Kailasa mountain starts shaking. Parvati gets worried. Shiva smiles, slightly puts his big toe on the ground, and the Kailasa mountain crushes Ravana's hands. So he's stuck. He can't leave. He's totally stuck there for many years. Long time. He keeps crying. And finally, a sage comes along, gives him the advice, praise Shiva, he will forgive you. So he starts singing Shiva's praises. Then Shiva bestows his grace on him, makes him whole again, and gives him a very long life, gives him a sword. There's a sword called Chandrahasam that Ravana has, and that was given by Shiva. And then he also gave him the name Ravana. The name Ravana was not this original name. Originally was known as Dasamukha, one with 10 faces or 10 heads, or Dasagriva, one with 10 necks. But because he cried for a long time here, he became known as the one who cried, Ravana. Ravana means crying in Sanskrit. So that is how he was there. And Sambandar always refers to this story. Ravana puts a reference to Ravana in 8th song to indicate that Shiva is so merciful that he always will bestow his grace on even the worst sinner. So Ravana had done the most unimaginable thing of trying to throw it, pick up Kailasam and throw it away. Shiva could have killed him at that instant, but he did not. He crushed him, but he did not kill him. So Ravana could repent and become a Shiva devotee, and then he is blessed by Shiva and given boons and all that. Of course, Ravana being who he is, he gets his he goes his evil ways and meets his end in the end. That's a different story. But he's a great Shiva Bhakta, and he becomes a Shiva Bhakta because of this episode. So that is what we had covered so far. Any comments, questions, anything that in the first 8 songs so far?
I'm good.
Okay. So
I'm also good.
okay, good. So then we will continue from the 9th song. And again, like what we have done previously, I will have maybe one of you repeat the words in the beginning. Then we'll discuss the verse, and then the other person can say it at the end. That way we have the. So
Okay, I'll repeat.
okay. தாழ் நுதல்
தாழ்நுதல்
செய்து
செய்து
இறை
இறை
காணிய
காணிய
மாலொடு
மாலடு
தன்
தன்
தாமரையானும்
தாமரையானும்
நீணுதல்
நீணுதல்
செய்து
செய்து
ஒழிய
ஒழிய
நிமிர்ந்தான்
நிமிர்ந்தான்
எனது
எனது
உள்ளம்
உள்ளம்
கவர்கள்வன்
கவர்கள்வன்
வாழ்நுதல்
வாழ்நுதல்
செய்
செய்
மகளிர்
மகளிர்
முதலாகிய
முதலாகிய
வையத்தவர்
வையத்தவர்
ஏத்த
ஏத்த
பேணுதல் செய்
பேணுதல் செய்
பிரமாபுரம்
பிரமாபுரம்
மேவிய
மேவிய
பெம்மான்
பெம்மான்
இவன் அன்றே.
இவன் அன்றே.
Good. So in the 9th song, we'll look at the meaning and then we'll look at the story. But maybe I should tell the story. So we all know the story of Brahma and Vishnu of having a big argument once, right? Brahma said that I am the ultimate supreme lord because I am doing all the creation and everything. And Vishnu says, no, I am the supreme lord. And so these Brahma and Vishnu start having a big debate, back and forth, big argument. And this goes on for a long time. Big argument. At that point, suddenly, a column of light appears in front of them. Neither of them knows what this column of light is. So they decide that since we have been having this great debate with no end, no winner, let us make an agreement. This is a very tall, long column of light. One of us will go look at the top, other person will go look at the bottom. Whoever reaches the end first, they will be the winner of our argument. They will be the Supreme Lord. So they agree. So Brahma decides to go to the top, Vishnu decides to go to the bottom. So the Brahma takes the form of a swan, flies looking for the top. Vishnu takes the form of a boar, keeps digging and going below the ground to see the bottom of the light. And they both try forever. They keep flying for ages. He keeps digging for ages. They are not able to find the top or bottom because it is an infinite column. So they keep going and going, no end. Finally, they get tired after trying for a very, very long time. And they both come back to the starting point and then they worship that light. And then Shiva reveals himself to them. And then they understand that who is the Supreme Lord. So this is a story from the Puranas, which is referred in Sambandhar's Padigams as the 9th song in every Padigam. The reason for this is that Vishnu and Brahma are great devas. They are at a very high level. But even for a being at such a high level, they cannot see the Lord if they have ego. So to see the Lord, to realize the Lord, we need to get rid of our ahankara, ego. And this episode is referred to show that. Just as in the previous 8th song, it shows that, however sinful things one may do, if one repents, Shiva will show his grace on him. Like that, this episode of Brahma Vishnu seeking the top and bottom of that infinite column of light is used to illustrate the point that if anyone has ego, then that ego will prevent him from realizing God. So that is the meaning of that. So now we will go into the song and look at the words. Tal means feet. Nudal means forehead. In this context, it means the head or the top. So Said means to do. Here means the goal of reaching them, right? So the Brahma and Vishnu. Mal is Brahma, Vishnu. Tamarayan means one who is on the lotus flower. So Malodu Tan Tamarayanum with Brahma, with Vishnu, and the Brahma who is on a cool lotus flower. Tan means cool, Tamare means lotus. So Tan Tamarayan means one who is on the cool lotus flower, which means Brahma. So Malodu Tan Tamarayanum. Vishnu and Brahma, what were they trying to do? They were trying to see. Kaniya means to see, to seek. Irai means the Lord. So Brahma and Vishnu were trying to see the feet and the top of the Lord. That's the meaning of the first line. And in order to do that, what did they do? Niyunudal seidu ozhiya. So Brahma and Vishnu, they kept trying for a long time. One went up, one went down. So they tried for a long time. And ozhiya means, ozhidal means to end. So they tried for a long time and gave up their effort to find it. Nimrindan means he stood up or he rose. So what this phrase means, Shiva rose as an infinite column of light so that Brahma and Vishnu could make their great effort to see the top and bottom and finally give up that effort and worship Shiva. So that is the meaning of the first 1.5 lines. That's Shiva. The next phrase is Yenadu Ullam Kavarkalvan. He is the thief who stole my heart. This comes in every song, so I'm not going to repeat that meaning. And he is worshipped by all the people of this world. That's what the next phrase is. Vaal nudal sei magalir mudalagiya vayyattavariyatha. So Vaal nudal sei magalir means girls or women. Nudal we already saw means forehead. Vaal means here bright. So the poetic description in Tamil poetry, when they describe a woman's face, they will, typically they'll say moon-like face, right? Meaning bright. So here it's a similar one, which says Vaal nudal, means she has a bright forehead, means bright face. These women and Mudalagiya means and Vayattavar. Vayattavar means the people of the world. Vayam means earth or the world. Vayattavar means people of the world. Etha means to praise, stuti, to do stuti is what etha is. So all the bright-faced women and other people of this earth, they all praise. How? Penudal say, they like to praise him. Lovingly they praise him. Penudal means to cherish. So they praise and cherish this Shiva. And that Shiva is in Piramapuram Meviya Pemman. That Shiva is in Brahmapuram. And even Andre, that Lord is he. So in essence, what the summary of the song is that Brahma and Vishnu could not reach the top and the bottom of the infinite column of light when Shiva stood as that light. And he is the one who stole my heart. And he is lovingly worshipped by everyone on this earth. And in that, he puts a classification, Valnudal say Magalir. Because somebody is singing like a girl, right, in this song. So he's saying, girls like me. All the girls are in love with him. That kind of thing. Valnudal say Magalir Mudalagia Vayattavareta. So all the girls and the other people of this earth lovingly worship him. And he dwells in Brahmapuram. And it is him indeed. That's how he describes the 9th song. Any comments, questions? We can discuss.
No. Except that in this there is nothing like a legend of the Piramapuram.
Correct. There is no reference to the Salapuranam of Brahmapuram here. Correct. Yeah. So why don't you go and say the whole verse now? That way you get the hang of the pronunciation.
தாழ்நுதல் செய்து திரை காணிய மாலோடு தன் தாமரை யானும் நீணுதல் செய்து பொரியன் நிமர்ந்தான் எனது உள்ளம் கவர்கள்வன் வாழ்நுதல் செய் மகளிர் முதலாகிய வயத்தவர் ஏத்த பேணுதல் செய் பிரமாபுரம் மேவிய பெம்மான் இவன் அன்றே.
Good. So in the second line, there is a phrase, right? Nunudal செய்து ஒழியன் நிமிர்ந்தான். That ஒழியன் நிமிர்ந்தான், in Tamil poetry, sometimes they add an extra syllable for music or meter or time and all that. So if you look at the words separately, the words mean ஒழிய நிமிர்ந்தான். But in this song, because he wants to ensure that the meter and the sound flows for the song, Sambandar sings as ஒழியன் நிமிர்ந்தான் because of that. Normally when we say ஒழிய நிமிர்ந்தான், there is no extra in there. But in this song, Sambandar uses an extra in for the meter purposes.
Okay.
Okay. So if we go to the 10th song, maybe Murthy, you can repeat the initially and then Rama can say in the end.
Okay.
Right.
புத்தரோடு
பொறியில்
சமனும் புறம் கூற நெறி நில்லா ஒத்த சொல்ல உலகம் பலி தேர்ந்து எனது உள்ளம் கவர்கள்வன் மத்த யானை மருக உரி போர்த்தது ஓர் மாயம் இது என்ன பித்தர் போலும் பிரமாபுரம் மேவிய பெம்மான் இவன் அன்றே.
Ivanandre.
In Sambandar's Padigam, in the 10th song, he will always have a reference to the Buddhists and the Jains and condemn their philosophies, condemn their doctrines, condemn their practices, and advise people not to listen to them, etc., etc. And this is because Sambandar's time was a period in which the Jainism and Buddhism had spread all the way from the north of India to the south of India and had converted all the major kings. The Pallava king in Kanchipuram, the Pandya king in Madurai were also Jains at the time. So probably the kings in the northern part of southern India right now, whether what we call as Andhra Pradesh or Telangana or Karnataka, whatever we call today, all those regions were also under Jains and Buddhist influence. That's why you'll find this in Karnataka. You'll find huge statues of Jain Tirthankaras. So the whole region had been what you can call converted. The leaders have been converted, and all the population was following the Jainism and Buddhism. And not only that, they were also practicing a lot of discrimination. So, for example, in Jainism at the time, they used to have a concept of ritual impurity. In Indian religions, Indian traditions, there is a ritual impurity, and the Jains at the time considered that seeing a Shiva devotee wearing holy ash or rudraksham, all those kind of things, was considered polluting them. So if they see that, it is called visual pollution. And if they heard Shiva's names or Shiva's poetry or devotion, Shiva stories, whatever, right? That is considered pollution again. But this is pollution by sound. So they had this, not only you get impure by coming into contact physically, but even seeing or hearing becomes polluting. And they had terms for that in Tamil. They called it pollution by seeing Shivalingam or Shiva devotees with the holy ash or Rudraksham is all called Kandumuttu, visual pollution. And similarly, Kettumuttu muttu means pollution. Kandu means to see. So Kandumuttu, Kettumuttu. So they had all this kind of terms for these kind of ritualistic pollutions that were occurring in their eyes. So there was such a level of discrimination against followers of Sanatana Dharma at that time. And not only that, they had atheistic philosophies. So in Buddhism or Jainism, Buddhism is, they just say that they don't believe in God, pretty much. And in fact, a great mantra of that time of Jains was Asti Nasti. Asti means it is there. Nasti means it is not there. So their philosophy is Asti Nasti. What is their philosophy on God was Asti Nasti. It is there, it is not there. So that was their mantra. We'll see that in a different place in Tevaram later on. So Sambandar's father was highly he was highly upset by this way of things in the world at the time. So he literally did tapas, you can say, and got Sambandar as a son who could bring back the Saiva traditions back from the clutches of the Jains and Buddhists. So Sambandar, from his very first song, we have to remember that he was 3 years old when he sang this song. From his very first song, in his every Padigam, in the 10th song, he would include a reference to Buddhism and Jainism and advise people not to follow them. And in this, that is the context of the 10th song. So the word Puttarodu means Puttar is because in Tamil pronunciation the first pa sound is always pa, not ba. That's why it's Puttarodu. But it is a Tamil form of Buddhar. So Buddhist. Puttarodu means Buddhists. And Saman means Jains. Samanam is the Tamil word for Jains. And there are different roots for that word. Again, it's a Tamilized form of Sanskrit terms. So with the Buddhists and Poriyil Samanum. Pori means knowledge or wisdom. Poriyil means without wisdom. Samanam means Jains. So the Buddhists and the wisdomless Jains is how he refers them in the song. These two groups of people, what do? Puram Kura. Puram Kura means to say slanderous words. Because they don't understand the Sanatana Dharma and the icons of the Hindu religion and all the philosophies. So they go around saying slanderous things, disparaging things. Oh, your Shiva is dancing in the cremation ground. Oh, he's wearing ash on his body. He's like a stupid fellow, crazy fellow, whatever, right? You name it, right? So they were giving all those slanderous words so that they could convert people into their paths. So they were Puram Kura is to say slanderous words. What do? Nari Nilla. Nari means dharma, path. So they, Nari Nilla means not following the path, not following dharma. So without following the dharma, or the words that don't follow the dharma, Vatta Solla. Solla means to say. Vatta Solla means they say similar words, right? Both Jains and Buddhists, both are talking about Nirishwaravadam, means atheist philosophy. And they are also, both of them want to bring the people who are following the Sanatana Dharma into their fold. So they both speak disparaging words about the Sanatana Dharma. That's what he's saying. Vatta Solla means saying similar things. So this is the way of Buddhists and Jains. While they are doing all this, what is happening to me? What is Shiva doing? So he's saying Shiva is Ulagam Pali Terndu. Pali Terdal means to seek alms. So Shiva, holding Brahma's skull in his hand, goes around seeking alms. That we have covered the story in other places. So Shiva is seeking alms, holding Brahma's skull in his hand, and another Ullam Kavarkalvan, and Shiva has stolen my heart. And then other attributes he is saying. Matta Yanai Maruga Uri Portadu or Mayam Idu Enna. So here Gajasura, the Shiva kills an elephant and wraps its skin around his shoulders. That story is referred here. Matta Yanai. Yanai means elephant. Matta Yanai means male elephant. The Matam is, the what we call as a mast in Hindi, and probably it's called mast in English too. So it is the adjective for the elephant, the male elephant. Matta Yanai. Maruga. Maruga means to become frightened. So the Uri Portadu. Uri means skin. Portadu means to wrap. So Shiva kills that big male elephant and wraps its skin around himself. And he does it with such a fashion that everybody thinks what a wondrous deed it is. Or Mayam idu enna. Or Mayam means a magic, a wonder. Idu, this. Enna means to say thus. So everyone is saying that what a great wonder, or what a magic. It's magically he has killed that elephant and wrapped its skin around himself. So he is referring to the legend of Shiva killing an elephant and skinning its skin and wrapping it around himself. And if you look at the legends, there are a couple of legends. There is one legend which talks about this having happened in Varanasi. And there is another legend which says that this happened in a place called Vazhur in Tamil Nadu. Again, you will find that in the Sthala Puranams or the legends, same episode or similar episode may be mentioned in more than one place. That's not unusual for famous legends. But the essence is that he kills that elephant and wraps it around. So in the legend that is followed is in the one of the legends is that there are, again, for that itself there are two legends. One is that there was a asura called Gajasura, and he had done a lot of tapas, and only Shiva can kill him, and he was hurting everybody. And then all the rishis ran to Kashi, and then this Gajasura followed him into that, and Shiva appeared and killed the Gajasura. That is one legend that is there in Skanda Puranam. And there is another legend which says that that the rishis of Dwarkavana, so they were of that philosophy that the mantras and the yajnas, and they all will do whatever we need. We don't need a god for all this. And the Dwarkavanam and the rishis of Dwarkavana, it's a famous story. And they do, Shiva sends Vishnu comes as Mohini, and the Dwarkavana rishis go after Mohini, and Shiva comes as a mendicant, right? He comes just wearing a snake on his waist with a begging bowl, and goes to the women of the Rishi Patnis, the wives of the rishis. And the rishis' wives are all after him. So when the rishis learn about this later on, they do Abhichara Homam. And then they produce all kinds of terrible creatures coming out of this Abhichara Homam. And then they all come and attack Shiva. And Shiva captures all of them and makes them his ornaments, the snakes or the tiger skin or all those things. So elephant is also one of the things that comes out of that Abhichara Homam, that Shiva kills and wraps the skin around himself. So that's why I'm saying there are several stories, but bottom line is that this is a very famous legend of Shiva killing the elephant and wearing its skin. And that's what he's referring in the third line. And he says, Pittar volum. Pittar means a mad person, crazy person. And basically, if you look at Shiva's actions, it looks like he's crazy, because we call something a crazy when we cannot understand what he is doing. That's one way of looking at it. But philosophically, the word Pittan for Shiva is because he's madly in love with us. Because when he says madly in love, like the mother's love for his child, like that, Shiva has got infinite amount of love for us, which we don't deserve. So undeservingly, he showers his love on us, and that's why it's referred to as Pittan. And that Pittar Bol means is like the Pitta, is in Brahmapuram, and it is him indeed. That is a 10th song. So any questions, comments?
No, it's all fine.
So Rama, if you
Yeah,
want, you
fine
can,
for me
yeah,
too.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
say the verse now.
Okay. புத்தரோடு பொறியில் சமணம் புறம் கூற நெறிநில்லா ஒத்த சொல்ல உலகம் பலி தேர்ந்து எனது உள்ளம் கவர்கல்வன் மத்த யானை மருக ஊறி போர்த்தது ஒரு மாயம் இது என்ன பித்தர் போலும் பிரமாபுரம் மேவிய பெம்மான் இவனன்றே.
Good. So again, in the song, the word Marugavuri in the third line, that iv sound is for the meter. So when you sing it,
Okay.
you'll see that that's iv is used, but when we word separated, that iv is extra. That's one. And the second thing is that the word Pittar Bolam, Pittar, I think it is there in Telugu too, in the same similar root. I think we call it Pichi Vadu or something.
Yes.
It is there in all South Indian languages. Comes from the same root. Okay. Now we will go to the 11th song. The 11th song is in Sambandha's Padigams. The 11th song is known as the Kadai Kapu. Kadai Kapu means Kadai means basically latching the Padigam, closing the Padigam, right? You close the door. Like he starts a Padigam, sings a set of songs, and then he closes the Padigam. So that's the literal meaning of word Kadai Kapu.
Okay.
And then usually in his Padigams have 11 songs, with the 11th song as the final song of the Padigam. But he also has sung some Padigams where there are 12 songs. Because there are some Padigams where he has sung one song on each name of this Sthalam. Remember I mentioned that this Sthalam has 12 names in the legends, and he uses one name in each verse. That way he has a Padigam with 12 songs. So there are some Padigams where that kind of situation occurs. In those Padigams, the final song will have the Kadai Kapu. Okay, so Murthy, I think you can again we can do that. You go first, and then Rama can come in the later part for the song.
Right.
Arunariya Marai
Valla
Muni Agan Poigai Alarmeya Perunariya Iramapuram Meviya Vemman Ivan Tannai Oru Neriya Manam Vaithu Unar ஞான சம்பந்தன் உரை செய்த திருநெறிய தமிழ் வல்லவர் சொல்வினை தீர்தல் எளிது ஆமே. Yeah, good. So in this Tirukadai Kapu, Sambandar will say three things essentially. The fact that this is Sambandhan coming from Sirgari of such and such heritage, etc., etc. Singing this Padigam on Swami of this particular Sthalam, and those who recite this Padigam will get this benefit. And that is the basic essence of the final song of all Sambandhar Padigams. And the final song will be in the same meter. The whole Padigam, the 11 songs, will always be in the same meter. There is only one exception that I know of that comes in only one Padigam, where the first 3 songs are in 1 meter, the next set of songs are in another meter. That is a special Padigam. When we see that, we can discuss that. But otherwise, as a rule, all songs of a Padigam will be in the same meter. Of course, different Padigams will be in different meters. We will see them. So in this final song, 11th song here, Neri means dharma or path. We have seen that in previous song too. Neri nilla otta solla. Neri means dharma or path. So in the first phrase here.
Sorry, I just came home.
No problem. No problem. We are just starting the final songs discussion.
Okay.
So Arunariya means Arumai, means that something that is wonderful or rare. So Arunariya means one of the excellent path. Marai means Veda. So Arunariya Marai means Vedas that show the great path. And Arunariya Marai Valla Muni means Muni is a Sanskritam word. So here Aruma, this Muni in this case means Brahma, because Brahma as the expert or the one who says things the Vedas. So Arunariya Maraivala Muni. So Brahma, who is well versed in the Vedas, he worshipped the Shiva here, right? So that's why he's referring to that. Arunariya Maraivala Muni and his Brahmapuram. This Brahmapuram is because of his name. That is mentioned there. Agan Poigai Alarmeye means Poigai means a pond or a tank. Agan Poigai means a big tank. You know, if you go to Sigari, the temple tank is big tank. That's what he's referring here. Agan Poigai Alarmeye. Alar means flower. So in the natural situations, the tanks will have lotus flowers and other flowers that will be there in the tanks. So the big tank with flowers, that's referring to the tank in the temple, and that's the Brahmapuram. So he's describing the place Brahmapuram, which is associated with the Brahma and also having a big tank. And in that Brahmapuram may be a Pemman, means Shiva is there in the Brahmapuram. And what is that Shiva? Is Perunariya Pemman. Perunariya Pemman means one who is showing the great path, means Mukti. Shiva who can give us Mukti or the liberation. That Lord. Pemman means Peruman, means Swami. So the Swami who can give us liberation, that is him. Even Tannai. Even is saying that Shiva is next to him. Right? Because remember, in the first session, we talked about the fact that Sambandar can see Shiva, is next to him, nearby, but his father cannot see. So Sambandar is saying, this Shiva, not that Shiva. He's saying this Shiva, who is nearby. On him, Ivanai, Oru Nariya Manam Vaithu Unar Jnana Sambandhan. Jnana Sambandhan is describing himself as a Jnana Sambandhan, not just Sambandhan. He's a one who has got the divine knowledge. The moment he got the milk of wisdom from Parvati, he got both the worldly knowledge and the spiritual knowledge, or the what we call as the Aparajnanam and Paranjanam. He got both. So that's why he's referring to himself as Jnana Sambandhan. And he also describes him as Oru Nariya Manam Vaithu Unar. Manam is mind, Manas. And Oru Nariya means focused mind. So Jnana Sambandhan has focused his mind and realized Lord. Unardal means to know or to realize, to experience. So Jnana Sambandhan has focused his mind on the Lord and he has realized him. That Jnana Sambandhan, Urai Seida, he has sung these songs. Right? Urai Seida means that he has sung. Thiru Nariya Tamil. Thiru means Sri, holy. Nariya means path, right? So the Tamil is this Padigam, this set of verses, this Padigam, this Tamil songs that embody or that contain or that show the holy path. Those who know this holy Tamil Vallavar, those who master this, means what? Those who recite this on a daily basis, those who sing it, those who are meditating on it. So those who know this Tamil Vallavar, those who are reciting this and doing Parayanam of this, there, Tol Vinay. Tol Vinay means old karma. Tol means old, Vinay means karma. So their old karma or past karma, Tirdal, will be removed. Yelidame, easily. So we know that how difficult it is to get rid of our karma. That's the basic reason why we keep getting stuck in this cycle of birth and death, because of karma. If you have karma, we have to take another birth to experience or to finish that karma, and all karma is not finished in one birth. So we have some karma in this birth, some karma to be experienced in the future birth. And then as we take each birth, we experience or use up some karma, but we also make up more karma. So we are stuck in this endless cycle of birth and death. And Sambandara says, if you master this and do Parayanam of this Padigam, your karma will be destroyed. And once karma is destroyed, there's no more birth. So that is what his liberation is. So Sambandara is essentially saying in this verse, those who recite this set of songs with devotion will easily get rid of their karma. That's the essence of this final song. So Rama, you want to first any questions
Sure.
before I have Rama repeat the verse?
No
Okay,
questions, sir.
Okay, go ahead, Rama.
அருநெறிய மறை வல்லை முனி அகன் பொய்கை அலர்மேய பெருநெறிய பிரமாபுரம் மேவிய பெம்மான் இவன் தன்னை ஒரு நெறிய மனம் வைத்து உணர் ஞான சம்பந்தன் உரை செய்த திருநெறிய தமிழ் வல்லவர் தொல்வினை தீர்தல் எழுதுவாமே.
Excellent.